Hello YouTube, this is Alexis, the Transgender Duelist, and today I'm going to be bringing you a Light Swarm deck profile. So before we actually get into the deck profile, I'm going to do a few mentions about why the deck looks the way it does. First off, you're going to notice that there is no Fairy Tale Snow. I could not find room for it, and I often did not really need it, as this deck is designed to OTK and not really do anything else. I mean, yes, Fairy Tale Snow does help with OTKing, but I also am not really sure what I would actually drop for the Fairy Tale Snow. So, like, if you really wanted to, you could go ahead and drop a Lightsworn Judgment, but I like keeping it in a 2 just because dropping a JD is really, really strong, and if you're playing against Domain True Monarchs, or Domain True Draco or something like that, this can be a really good out to them, as normally they're only really going to have Masterpiece to protect them, and if you drop like double JD, they're not really going to have a way to stop you from nuking the field, and then predominantly just knocking their face in after that. And as for the Twilight Sworns, I'm not running them in this variation, as I plan to run them in another variation of Light Sworn, as I found that my variation at the moment does not appreciate having the Twilight Sworns in the deck. So with the honorable mentions out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and actually start the deck profile. We got one Electromagnetic Turtle. Even though this deck is designed to OTK, there are times where you just need to stall for like a turn to stop your opponent from killing you. Like maybe you went ahead and did like say 6,000 points of damage, and then on your opponent's turn they break your board and try to game you. You can use Electromagnetic Turtle, and often you'll have just enough resources to break their field and then finish them off. So that's a pretty nice card, and if you do brick and have it in your hand, you can just set it, and 9 times out of 10, they'll just attack into it, it'll go into the graveyard, and you have it there anyway. So we're running triple Fearless Lightsworn Archer. This card is really, really good. It's not as good as Wolf, but it has its own little niche. First off, it's a Lightsworn that can special summon itself should it be milled by Minerva, which is the name of the game. Secondly, it is targeting removal. While targeting removal is not as good as non-targeting removal, do keep in mind that Lightsworns came out in the 5Ds era, so you can't really give them too much leadway on that. Additionally, she does actually mill when she destroys a card, so do keep that in mind. So you can use her to potentially extend your combos if you don't need her for like an Exceed or a Synchro play. I'm running one Glow Bulb. This is here just to go into Trish or Nat Beast, and if necessary, you can just use it to get another body on the field to summon Deco Talker. It all depends on what you need. It also does actually mill a card, so that can sometimes help you get a wolf or an archer onto the field, depending on what's going on. Running triple JD. I know that a lot of people prefer to run it as a rank 4 deck or as a combo deck or stuff like that, but I like running triple JD just because it is such an amazingly powerful boss monster. Like, there is a reason why a lot of people, well, at least for a while, considered JD to be the only real boss monster in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! For a while. Keep in mind, this was back when Dark Arm was limited and stuff like that. Like, just pay 1,000 life points, blow up the field, really no restrictions on it. I mean, it does mill you 4 cards during the end phase, but I don't think I've ever actually had to mill myself with JD. Usually if I summon it, I'm winning the game that turn. Running triple Lumina Lightsworn Summoner. So this card is really, really nice for a few different reasons. First off, she's able to give you an additional monster onto the field for discarding. And discarding does actually help us because we have a lot of monsters that we want in the graveyard as opposed to our hand. And the way this deck functions, you do often end up with monsters in your hands, so it is not a bad thing at all. And secondly, she can target a copy of herself in the graveyard, special summon, and end up giving you like 2 or 3 monsters on the field, even 4 monsters if you have the discard fodder. And at that point, you're just in such a huge advantage lead that you don't really care that you just gave up your hand to get all that advantage. Running one Leela the Lightsworn Sorceress. While I don't normally like summoning her, first off, she is a level 4 monster. Additionally, she is a MST-like card, which I am not running any of them in the main deck, mainly because outside of anti-meta, we don't really care about any back row our opponent has. Like, Solemn Strike is not going to stop us. Dimensional Barrier It's going to hurt us, but we can work around it. And those are like the only two trap cards that are really being played right now. Like, yeah, we've also got things like Mirror Force and Floodgate Trap Hole, but you can work around those, so that's not a big issue either. Like the only time she's a problem is when we're playing against pure anti-meta, like say pure Time Lords or Barrier Statues. At that point, you're not going to be winning anyway if they go first. Running triple Mizuki. So we are running a zombie engine of triple Mizuki and triple zombie master. This is so that we can get value out of our graveyard. We can go ahead and we banish out the Mizuki, special summon out the zombie master pitches a card from her hand, and special summons either another zombie master or a Mizuki, allowing us to make a huge field. And it is the main reason why I'm not running a whole lot of cards that I could be running. Like, for example, because this is an OTK deck, I'm not running Omega because Omega does not contribute to the OTK. I am not running any more than 2 Link monsters because for the most part we don't really need them. I'm not running... What other things the Light Swords usually run? Well, my point is that the zombie engine does make up for a lot of things. It makes it so we don't really have to worry about us losing advantage, because if we mill badly, we can still win just off of the zombie engine. So triple Minerva, similar to why people were running Upstart Goblin at 3, Minerva just lets us so that we have less cards in our to make our deck mill even more. So that's pretty nice. And she does also search JD, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody resolve that effect. Like, if you ever seen someone resolve Lightsworn Minerva's effect to search out a monster, please let me know, because I've never actually seen it. I saw someone attempt to do it on me one time, but then they realized that it only searches equal to the number of Lightsworns that are in the graveyard. Running triple Hat Tricker just to get more bodies on the field. This was originally a Performa Mage engine, but what's his face? The hand trap Performa Mage got banned, so obviously I can't really do that anymore. Anyway, just a level 4 body, not really a lot to say. Trick Clown, because it synergizes really well with the idea of the deck. You could run a Heroic Challenger 1000 Blades, but well, I just tried it and didn't really see the need for it, and half the time when I did have it at 1, I wasn't seeing it in combination with the Trick Clown, so it was just a defensive card that I didn't really need. If you're going to run it, I recommend running it over a Hat Tricker. Running 2 Rydens. I know a lot of people like to run 3 Rydens, but I found it better at 2 just because I'm trying to minimize the amount of normal summons in this deck. And I have, I believe, 8 normal summons, so Ryden was the easiest one to put down to 2 as opposed to 3. I mean, it's still a really, really good enabler, so don't get me wrong, but it's also searchable by Charge the Light Brigade, so you basically do have 4 copies of it. Triple Wolf, I'm not going to really explain too much about Wolf. It's a body that just appears on the field when you mill it. Triple Zombie Master, because it's part of the zombie engine. Double Charge of the Light Brigade, because it searches out all your Light Sworns. And also it does search out your Twilight Sworns, but do keep in mind that that's not particularly relevant for our build, as we're not really running any. Like, if you are running them, though, just do keep that in mind. You can search out Twilight Sworns with Charge of the Light Brigade. 1 Foolish Burial to get to mill with precision. Triple Solar Recharge to help out our consistency. 1 Soul Charge to make huge fields after we've extended. And then double Lightsworn Judgment, because I prefer to have these over anything else. And we can chain it to a Lightsworn's milling effect and go ahead and grab a JD out of our deck, which minimizes the risk of milling it later on. So on for the extra deck. The extra deck is really, really tight. Like, there's no room for really being customizable here. Like, if you edit the extra deck, it's going to be for your own personal taste. So we're running double Deco Talker. Deco Talker is here because even though you aren't really affected by it, you still want to have the ability to summon out multiple extra deck monsters. And Deco Talker does that very well, because if you have the ability to summon out an additional extra deck monster, like say a Scar Red Dragon or Minerva or something like that, you have more than enough resources to get a Deco Talker on the field plus 2 extra deck monsters. So it is not a problem at all. Black Rose Dragon is here because it acts as a field nuke should our opponent have a really big field and we need to attempt to get rid of it. One Michael. Honestly, this is just in here because it's a Light Sworn card and it's really easy to make. You could run this, like you could put a Crystal Wing or a Clear Wing over it, or even a any generic Synchro. I just like Michael because it's one of the best ones and it does banish, which is really, really important. One Nat Beast because it's Nat Beast and we can make it pretty easily. We can't make it consistently, but we can make it easily, so it's nice to have that option. One Scar Red because Scar Red is able to nuke an entire field, and it's also a good way to finish off our opponents should we be just short of attacking them for game. One Trish because Trishula is our god, in the words of the Mega Yumi. Also, Mega Yumi, if you see this, go ahead and comment below, hashtag Trishula is god. One Abyss Dweller to stop those pesky graveyard effects. One Gastel because Gastel. Diamond Direwolf because it gets itself out of the extra monster zone, allowing us to perform another Xyz summon, another Synchro summon, or whatever else we may need. Double Minerva because I think 3 is too many and 1 is too few. She's a really good card as when she's destroyed, no matter where she was destroyed, she gets to mill 3 cards, so even if your opponent Solemn strikes her, she will 100% of the time be able to do something. And her effect on the field allows you to mill 3 more cards and then draw for every Light Sworn that gets milled by the effect. We're running a small Utopia package to answer problematic monsters. And then 1 Starlight Palindymio. So a lot of people don't really like this card, or at the very least they're not running it. But I like running it as a 1-up because 1, when it's destroyed, I get to draw a card. So, you know, if they have a Dryden and I activate this, well, they either pop it and give me a draw, or they let me negate their monster and get no value out of it. So either way, it's a really good card. Like, you could run Armageddon Knight or whatever that, Carbon Knight, something like that. I forget, it's rank 4 that redirects targeting effects to other stuff on the field, but I don't really like that card because it's only really relevant against Strident, and everything else is kind of meh against. Like, that's just me personally. The side deck is just kind of here for when I'm playing this deck and rated, but you don't really have to take anything in there seriously. Like, I'd recommend you run like Lost Winds, but that'll kind of be the only thing I'd recommend here. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. This has been a Light Sworn deck profile, and if you have any suggestions, let me know. This is Alexis, and I'm signing out.